Hi everyone. Thanks so much for watching my channel, Ms. Yarn. This video is not a project tutorial. This is more of a chat where I'm going to talk to you about the temperature scarf that I'm working on for 2021. And before I get into this, I want to say thank you to my subscribers and to people who watch my videos and who make things and who comment and click like. I really appreciate your support. I'll also add that there are proper closed captions available on this video, so please feel free to turn them on if you need them. So let's get into this temperature scarf. If you don't know what a temperature scarf is, it's a smaller variation of the typical temperature blanket that knitters and crocheters sometimes make. So I'll be showing you a couple of images from Instagram and Google to show you what that looks like. On a temperature blanket, you record daily temperatures with color. It's a creative way to visualize actual data. I'm choosing to do a temperature scarf since that's less intimidating than a blanket, and I really want to keep up this 1-year commitment and keep things manageable. So if you choose to do a temperature blanket, throw, shawl, or scarf, you will need to establish some temperature ranges. These ranges need to fit your location. I'm in Toronto, so my coldest range is from -2 degrees Celsius or below, which is 28 degrees Fahrenheit. And the hottest range is 24 degrees Celsius and above, which is 75 degrees Fahrenheit and above. And I came up with these ranges just by Googling average temperatures in Toronto to get some sort of guideline. Now, my ranges would be different if I lived somewhere else, like somewhere hotter. So everyone needs to customize their own ranges to their own weather. So you might be wondering how many temperature ranges you need and what colors you should use. If you're doing 7 temperature ranges like me, you would need 7 colors. But you could also make a very beautiful project with up to 20 colors if you want. Personally, I wanted to use broader ranges and fewer yarn colors. That way it's easier for me because there will be fewer color changes and fewer ends to weave in. You might also be wondering how to find historical temperatures. Since you're likely not going to be knitting every single day, you're going to want a tool to find temperatures from, the past few days or the past few weeks. For myself, I'm only going to be touching this project probably every 2 to 3 weeks, and then I'm going to batch knit. So as far as websites go, since I'm in Canada, I'm using climate.weather.gc.ca. And for my US friends, I've heard good things about wonderground.com. And I'm sure that in other places in the world, there are also other great sites where you can look up weather history. So let me show you how I've done some knitting for the first 2 weeks of January. You'll see I'm using 2 different kinds of blue for the cold. And the darker blue stripe means that we have had 2 days of temperatures when it's been -2 degrees or below. So that's how that works. Now you might be wondering what colors you should be using. And it's totally up to you because it's your project and it's customizable to whatever you want. I've chosen to use a rainbow palette, and some people use purple to represent the cold. For me, that just doesn't make sense for my brain. So that's why I've chosen to use a dark blue for the very cold and dark red for the very hot weather. I also wanted to talk about what stitch you should use. Basically, choose a stitch that you love. It probably shouldn't be a really thick stitch because then you'll have a really long scarf or a really long blanket. As for myself, I've chosen to use the long loom. It's a double knit stitch. I'm using the zigzag stitch because that's a stitch that I really enjoy. But you can choose whatever stitch you want. In terms of staying organized, I'm keeping my chart with my temperatures and the corresponding yarn in my knitting notebook. So I always have it with me. And in the back pocket of this notebook, I have my little calendar. It's just a free calendar that I got in the mail. That's where I write down the temperatures for the day And when I have knit a row for that day, I then circle the date on my calendar so that I know it's done. So that's all I wanted to share about this year-long knitting project of mine. If you are working on a temperature scarf or on a temperature blanket and you want to talk about it, please share in the comments. And if you have any tips, you can share them too. And if you have questions for a beginner like me, I'm happy to try my best to help you out.